There you go. The Gray Place
We're ready.
for the Gray Man. Even the album is like sort of
Like my
gray,
soul.
soul grayish.
It's like my heart.
Your soul is grayish.
Yes. Getting grayer.
Yeah, just before we started, I was talking about like
PlayStation.
PlayStation. That I was so grateful for this album for having this on like a physical form. But I just realized because I had to give away my PlayStation, and
That you don't have anywhere to hear anymore.
I have no place, like no device that I can actually play
I really know
this
what you
new
mean.
album of Asaf Avidan on. So all I do is like listen to it to stuff on like all the streaming services.
What has happened to us?
Yeah, what has actually happened to us? And like, do you think that like doing this? Because I sometimes when I listen to your music, I feel that it's sort of you don't want to be like a modern guy.
No, I think I'm anachronistic in that sense. I think it shouldn't even be on a CD. It should be only on a vinyl. Like
Oh, yeah.
it should, and do we have a vinyl here?
I left it at the
You left it at the
Ah,
office,
yeah.
but it's a beautiful
Who
vinyl.
cares about that?
But so I don't know. What I do is influenced by artists that were recording music before cassettes. Dylan, Cohen, Waits, and people who they were influenced by: Lead Belly, Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone. These artists. That's what I listen to.
Mhm. Even when you talk, it just I can't come to terms with the fact that the only major international hit so far from you is actually is a remix by a German DJ, and it's a song that makes people dance rather than weep, which is what I wanted to do when listening to the study on falling.
Yeah, it's a weird anomaly in my life and my career. Till this day I don't get it. I accepted it solely because I can't control it. I try to fight it. Anybody that knows the story of this whole remix,
You weren't keen on that in the beginning.
No, I heard it. He put it on like social media or whatever was on that time. I don't think maybe YouTube or whatever, and a SoundCloud. He put a SoundCloud link and linked it to messaged me on Facebook, and I told him it's
No
very nice
way.
of you that you're doing it. I'm happy and thankful, but I don't like it. And then the next time I heard it was, being played in clubs around the fucking Europe, and then it became number one hit in radios and everything. But my point is that it never was what I wanted to do. I don't try. I mean, I won't mind mainstream success, but certainly not due to that. If I could change it, I would change it. My history with this remix, but it did introduce a lot of people to my music. It was played on mass, commercial radio, and people later, some people, a percentage of those people later dug into the other things that I do and found out that I try to be a deep, introspective artist. And so for that, I'm thankful.
So you're a deep introspective.
I try to be, I said. I try to be. Because if somebody says about themselves that they're deep and introspective, that's
They're
not...
usually shallow.
Yes, yes. So I need you to say it.
So you're deep and
Thank you.
introspective.
Thank you.
As an artist, who are you like? What are you like as a guy? Are you like actually? Because I've met some people who are like so funny when they're in between people, but when they're alone, they tend to be like
It depends.
deep and introspective.
It depends who I am. I think if anybody sees my body of work, it has to do a lot about my connections to women, to relationships, to human beings, and trying to understand how I can possibly see myself, because I have what I think it's an inherent human quality, which is the fear of invisibility, of meaninglessness, of nothingness. And for some reason, to me, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in isms, I don't believe in nationalities. I believe in connection to another human, and for them to see me helps me feel that I exist in the most fundamental of ways. I mean it in the most literal way. I really, I go kind of crazy when I don't have. That's why I'm a serial relationshipist, and that's why I perform in front of people. I need people to visually look at me, but in the deepest sense, to see me. And for that, to answer your question, I'm usually with these people on the stage or with girls. I'm very heavy, melancholic and deep, or I try to talk about fundamental, universal chasms of the human, whatever it is.
Yeah, that sounds deep. All right. It's like we only just met, so it's kind of hard to ask personal questions in those situations. But I kind of think that the questions I want to ask somehow relate to your music and to your art. And I get this feeling that this, well, not this particular album, but your music in general is kind of therapeutical in your sense. Is it?
It's the only reason I make music. I had a career as an animator before. I studied 4 years of cinema, then I studied 4 years of animation, and I was a working animator. I had films and festivals. I had a career. And the disconnection from another human being led me to break apart, and it really was the end of the world for me at the time. I was 25. I split up with a girlfriend after 6 years, so I was 19 when I met her. It was, to that time, it was my whole adult life was with this girl. And I really didn't know what to do. My life fell apart, and I know I'm being a bit over dramatic, but at that time it really felt that way. And then it made me question everything else in my life. It made me question whether or not I still am, what matters to me. And animation didn't matter to me. And the place that I was living in, the apartment in the city, I left everything. And I needed to outlet all this chaotic nebula of impalpable emotions that was stirring up, starting to solidify into cement and pulling me down. And I figured that I have to outlet it, and because that's what I know to do. But animation and filmmaking is a very slow process, and so I found music.
Of all the many words that appear in the lyrics of your songs, I find pain to be one that is pretty common. And I was wondering, what is actually the pain you want to get out of your system? Can you name that? Are you able to name that?
I am. I think any emotion, including pain. Pain is a big word for a lot of things. You have these doors through a corridor in your head, in your mind, in your soul, in your heart, wherever you want to think of it. But each one of these is an emotion: pain, fear, hopelessness, love, regret, all these emotions. Anger, hatred. I think, but also joy, and I don't know. Amusement. All these, if you're brave enough or stupid enough to open these doors and go down these staircases, and they become darker and damper, and if you follow each and every single one of them down, I feel they reach the same dark, cavernous basement, which is always fear of meaninglessness, fear of nothingness, fear of not even, that's what death is. It's nothing. It's you can't really grasp it. And I think that's every emotion, everything that humans invent is some kind of way around that, or to reconcile that, or to steer away from it. This and that's the pain. I mean, this absurdity of the human malady, which is consciousness, to understand our being but not understand why.
Sometimes opening those doors, it means kind of a breakthrough moment in life, because you're what, 30 something? Sorry for the lack of research.
28.
28. Sorry for that.
37.
37. Okay.
19.
So almost like I'm 35. Okay. So
I can be your dad.
Yeah. So anyway,
mature-wise.
Yeah, but so you probably get the idea about there are several moments in your life which are those those little moments that make a change. Like suddenly, at least in my case, I remember some moments when I started to realize certain things in a new way. Like some things stopped to matter anymore. You know, like so these were opening the doors. So can you remember, like, because you said like you were 19, you had a breakup with a girl, and that like made you start getting into music like for real. Can you?
25, yeah.
Oh, 20. You said 19.
I met her when I was 19.
Oh,
yeah?
sorry for that. Yeah. So, can you remember some other moments that you felt made a change in your life?
There's so many by now. You know, when you reach my ripe age, your heart, you know, the first time it's broken, you know, it breaks and it has some cracks, and then you put it back in there, and then it has breaks again and it shatters to some pieces, and then you glue it back with some sellotape, and then it falls again. And by this time, it's a powder. You know, there's not, you can't really glue it back to its shape anymore. And so I feel there's so many instances in our lives, whether you have momentous, you know, things that are obvious, like I had cancer, I served in the military, I broke up with huge girlfriends, you know, but I also, you know, the first time I buried my pet, my dog died, the first time you have a friend of yours in an accident, the first time, or just even little things, the first time you kissed a girl, the first time, or the 100th time you got your heart broken. All these things are breakthrough moments. And right now I'm going through one. And the study on falling is, you know, the title is kind of like a thesis, you know, like a university, the study on the Eurozone or whatever. I'm studying this idea, this falling, this endless falling that doesn't seem to end through life, this constant.
That sounds depressing.
It isn't. It isn't.
I mean,
I'll tell
but
you why it isn't. Because there's this Leonard Cohen quote that I love. He accepted some kind of award. He was knighted or something in Spain. Anyway, he says that we must never lament casually. We must always do so in the confinement of beauty and dignity. And I think that aspect of taking this lament, taking this sadness, this crying, this hopelessness, but putting it in the context of beauty and dignity, putting it on a pedestal of some mythology, that brings it into a, you know, it changes our perspective upon it. It's just another form of human emotion. And I'm happy to feel these feelings, just like I'm happy to feel joy, just like I'm happy to feel, you know, the moment of interest in a something. I don't know. Loss is okay. I don't regret any one of those. So I don't think it's depressing.
I mean, you should feel loss, and you should have a fall at least once in your life. But what I'm talking about, that it's not depressing to fall or to feel loss, but it's depressing that you're saying life is a constant kind of falling.
If you fall long enough, then is it falling? You know, if you fall forever, does it count as falling? And the point is, I stole this title from a girl called Marika Leila Rux, which is a bondage artist, and she took this shibari. It's a rope, Japanese rope bondage style, and she took it away from the dungeons of the S&M community, and she made a performance art piece in theaters and galleries. And what she does, you know, we are. From the second we are born into this earth unwillingly and taken away, until the second we are taken away, we are confined to the gravity, to this mass of a rock, okay? And our muscles need to work endlessly from the second we are born to the second we die. They must work in order not to collapse into this rock, okay? And that's a beautiful metaphor in and of itself. But what she does is she takes rope and she suspends somebody in the air, a model, and in the aesthetic of a human being falling in different positions. Mm-hmm. And what she says is she eliminates, by suspending with the rope, she eliminates the fear of collapse and lets the person experience fall, let us witness fall without the fear of collapse. And I thought that's what I was doing. And I thought that was a beautiful thing. Trying out new forms of relationship with these two people that the album is dedicated to, Green and Blue, and trying to push the collapse away from us, knowing that it's inevitable, but pushing aside jealousy, hurt, insufficiency, and anger and humiliation, pushing those aside and focusing and believing bravely, trying to connect to a human being, even knowing that those exist.
What were you like as a kid?
Lonely. I don't know. I was the son of diplomat parents, so we moved around a bit, and obviously that has, like, every time I made friends, I had to lose them out of technical reasons. We just moved. So I guess that, that sense of need for connection, but inability to sustain it it has always been there.
Because I'm wondering, when did this begin? Like, when did you discover you're actually an artist inside?
I don't know when I discovered I'm an artist. That's an actually good question. I'll answer in a second. But one of my first memories is running like at age 3 or something from my little bedroom to the living room where my parents were, and asking them what death is. So pretty early on, I was afraid. Petrified by the idea, by understanding the concept. So I think we all are. That's why we invent father figures and gods and mother figures and earth, and that see us endlessly and love us endlessly and accept us endlessly and hold us endlessly, and then we try to project that upon our partners to have them see us endlessly. And that's, I think, the confusion of monogamy, that your partner should be there to see you endlessly and hold you endlessly and possess you and you possess them. But my point is, when did I first discover I'm an artist? The first time I really thought myself as an artist, is the day that Leonard Cohen died, not too long ago. Yeah. The reason is...
So what were you before that? And that's the next
That's a good question. I don't know what I was before that. I was making music. But I was writing songs. I was obviously a professional musician, because that was my profession and that was my art form, my creative form. But to call yourself an artist is first of all, I don't think you can call yourself an artist. Only others can call yourself an artist. But I think I don't know. I think an artist is somebody who puts structure upon chaos. That's all. You take that chaotic nebula that I was talking about, this gaseous form of human emotions that is it's intangible, and then you put structure on it, whether through 8 different Western notes that you arrange or whatever. So in that aspect, I was an artist. But
so the moment Leonard Cohen died, why then?
Because for the first time in my life, I felt because it was the same week that Trump got elected, and we lost somebody that represents deep search, sincerity, honesty. A song like Famous Blue Raincoat, where he talks about his wife cheating on him with his friend, and he forgives him, and thanks for the trouble you took from her eyes. It's so humiliating to write that, and he still writes that and puts it out there. That kind of sincerity and that kind of soul searching, we lost that, and we gained, superficial deception, populism, these horrific ideals, and we lost a gentleman of class, and we got whatever that is, and I thought it wasn't just Trump; it's Trumpism. It's this nationalistic, populistic bullshit that's rising up against all around the world. And I thought for the first time that I don't have Leonard Cohen anymore, and not only I don't have Leonard Cohen anymore to say, okay, we have that at least. The world doesn't have it. We as a human society don't have that. And so I don't think I'm walking in his footsteps, because that would be pretentious. But I think that I have a duty, and we all have a duty, journalists, artists, to undertake a deep endeavor of honesty, of searching for honesty. Truth matters, especially today. And I thought that felt to me for the first time that there's an agenda that I'm now a part of.